Dave, I wanted to be able to ask and to be able to help other people that are watching the show to understand what is your connection to mitochondrial disease and how did you get involved with MitoCanada?
Sure. When my daughter was just over a year old, so now she's 18, but when she was just over a year old, she developed what seemed to be a mild cold. But strangely, her condition her condition declined really, really quickly. We had to rush her to the ER, and it really went badly from there. She was in a coma for a week, and then when she awoke from the coma, had some kind of lifelong issues. But the root diagnosis was mitochondrial disease, and it was very difficult to diagnose her. And once she was diagnosed, it was very difficult to know how to take care of her since then.
I'm sorry to hear that, and that's a common story with people that are involved with mitochondrial. So it's important, and we appreciate your ability to share that with us. And I think your experience also would really help those that may be struggling. So one of those things that you can maybe help if somebody's watching right now, if they understand maybe what are some of the biggest challenges that families have who are impacted by mitochondrial disease.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is getting diagnosed because the conditions look like a lot of things. So figuring out that a person has mitochondrial disease is a big, big challenge. And then once they're properly diagnosed, because it's a fairly rare condition, knowing what their prognosis is, knowing how to manage the disease, knowing what to expect is a really big challenge and very difficult for parents coping with, the uncertainty of the whole thing.
Yes, it's that position of uncertainty that creates the most anxiety for people. And so I wanted to kind of ask you in that position and with that idea in mind, how is it that MitoCanada is able to help families with these particular challenges that you've talked about?
Yeah, MitoCanada is really focused on a number of things. I mean, number one is early diagnosis. So whether it's educating physicians, because in ERs, at least when my daughter was diagnosed, a lot of physicians didn't have a deep understanding of mitochondrial disease and how to diagnose it. And then the best way to diagnose it is with DNA analysis and making DNA analysis available for patients quickly so that patients can get diagnosed more early has a really big impact. The other thing is about peer support. So when my daughter was diagnosed, I had nowhere to turn to. I had no way to find anybody else who had mitochondrial disease or really any way to get any sort of peer-to-peer support. So MitoCanada is also focused on that, is connecting patients and families together and connecting them with physicians so that they can get the help they need. And then finally, just about research, funding research to either help early diagnosis and, of course, to work on treatments and ultimately a cure for the disease.
All very bold visions to have,
Mhm.
and I'm appreciative of the fact that as a father, that's the end goal, but there are all those steps in between. And so I kind of also wanted to ask you a question in regards to as you found yourself more and more involved in the mitochondrial community. What are some of the things that you're most proud of with your work and the work that you've seen MitoCanada be able to do in the last time, in the time that you've been involved with it?
Well, there's a lot of things I'm proud of. I mean, we've funded a lot of DNA sequencing, so patients can get diagnosed much quicker. So that whole early diagnosis thing, we've done a lot of work there that I'm proud of. We've set up this peer-to-peer networking support so that patients can connect with others and they can do it easily. And now, of course, we have platforms to do that much easier than we ever could. We also we're part of the foundation of a national mitochondrial research network, MitoNet, and that brings together all the physicians and researchers across the country who are working on things related to mitochondrial research. And getting them together so they can cooperate better and are more effective at raising research funds. And we've had a few conferences where we've brought all these researchers and physicians together. And we've also included patients and families so that all the people affected by Mito understand what research is going on. They've got connections to clinicians and other families. And we've had really good feedback there, and I think we've had a big impact.
And I think you have as well. Having spent the last 2-3 days interviewing some of the bright lights in the Mito world, it's been fantastic, and the things that I've been able to learn, and I would encourage anybody to use the resources of the people that you have all met during this broadcast. MitoCanada will certainly be more than happy to provide you, families or whoever has been affected by mitochondrial disease. Please reach out to these people. These people want to be able to help you. They want to give you that opportunity. Someone like David, who has been impacted by mitochondrial disease in his own life, will be able to tell you that they're doing their best, and that's what we're here today. We're trying to create these connections for you, and we hope that you're not suffering alone. We want you to be part of this network. We want you to be interconnected.